very progressive judiciary ambayo somebody can go to. I am a lawyer. I'm also a lawmaker. I have sworn to protect and abide by this constitution. Neither myself nor my colleagues will pass a law that is against the constitution. And if we do, there is a judiciary. There is always a safeguard of the judiciary, and that's why Kenyans felt wameenda kotini, and the courts have already pronounced themselves as far as these amendments. We are trying to fight. Watu wanasema. Sheria imesema. Where did you get this other information?
Watu wanasema mheshimiwa. Watu wanasema mheshimiwa, for example, mtu ambaye website yake ameandika story, are you saying that stories ambazo ama websites ambazo zitakuwa pulled down itakuwa ni websites tu ambazo zinaongelea terrorism, pornography only, cultic activities, and what else? Ile nini ngapi?
Unlawful activities.
And unlawful activities only.
Only the ones that are in this amendment and this amendment. You know, sheria ya Kenya sio hii peke yake. But the one we are talking about today.
Yeah.
The website that will be blocked, they will not be pulled down, they will be blocked.
Yes.
Because pulling down is another action. Ni hizo ambayo they are doing the four things that we have just
So the question is, child pornography at least tunajua. Terrorism pia tunajua. Cultic activities pia tunajua. Unlawful.
Unlawful, unajua sheria ya Kenya, anything that is against the laws of this country, ambayo kuna act of parliament, imesema hiyo it is against the law, that is what we call unlawful. For example, let me give you an example. If somebody were to be, it is a very bad example, but if somebody were to be showing, you want to rape, you want to stream somebody raping another person, that is unlawful. It is against our Sexual Offences Act. So that's one example.
Okay.
There must be a law in the books of Kenya that says this act is wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Obina.
Yes, sir.
What's your take?
Okay, so first of all, Mheshimiwa hapo umetupea. You see this supplement, this pullout is only talking about a very of the whole thing. I've just read it. A couple of things that are being said here are very ambiguous. The law is not supposed to be ambiguous. I've just read here this part. Let me read what is written here. This is number 4.
Yes.
Okay. It says Section 27 of the Principal Act is amended in subsection 1 by inserting the words "or is likely to cause that other person to commit suicide" immediately after the word "person" appearing in paragraph B. So this part also, a lot of people have been talking about it. I'm an advocate for mental health awareness, and there's a part that says the cyber crimes, what was the correct wording about it? That it can be considered that you made someone else commit suicide, but how will you measure? This is the example that I'm using. Allow me to use this word. Someone can call me ng'ombe today. To me, it might just be a by the way thing. But someone else can be called ng'ombe, and it can go to the most extremes. So what is the measure of? That is number one. The other problem that I have with this whole thing is, where was public participation, man? I was not called, I was not spoken to, so I want to know.
All right.
Let me finish. Let me finish. Kidogo tu. Aya. Apart from that one also, I want to know what is the role of the judiciary, because this whole, when I was reading it, NCCC, the National Cyber Coordination Committee, is answering to NSAC. The chair of NSAC is the president. Where is the judiciary? Aya. Also, this thing is going on to gag the freedom of expression, because now people will fear to do a lot of things because it is not clear. It is ambiguous. So Obina cannot sit on Obina's show live and interview you, because if I talk about either the president or a member of parliament or any other Kenyan, I'm not sure if I'm overstepping on their freedom of expression.
Yes.
So, which part is highlighting that and telling us, hey, Obina, now this is the fine line? Aya. Let's talk about pornography. Pornography, the whole part is supposed to be, I understand, is normally addressed with counties, because there's this dance that happens in Mombasa, Madame Kushe. For Mombasa, it is cultural. If you do it in Wajir, Shindwe, go ahead. If you do it in Kisumu, they'll be like, hey, the same thing. Aya. Also in the cult space. How do we know this is a cult and this is not a cult? We have some denominations. Kuna madini kadhaa that zinakuanga. We grew up na bionga. Hawa ni cult, hawa si cult, nini. So nafanya piki ponki. So how do we define and say, this is cultural, this is not? But the part for the minors, that one, me, I'm 100%. The part for people now respecting each other's part, I'm okay. The last point.
Yeah.
Privacy. If the government can access my private data from the telecos, then there's no privacy, man.
All right. Amazing.
Okay.
Very good concerns pale. Before Mheshimiwa ujibu, I want to introduce Wakili. Wakili Mugendi, Jared Mugendi, karibu sana. Please use that microphone pale. As a lawyer, because I know Mheshimiwa is a sponsor of this bill. By the way, Obina, that particular paper you're seeing there,
yeah,
is the actual amendment. As in Mheshimiwa ameniambia off record that is the only thing that has been amended kwa hii sheria ambayo ilitengenezwa 2018. Ikatiwa sahihi. So that is the only thing that has been added.
That's why nimesema tumechezwa handball, because this is not what we've been reading.
All right. Wakili Mugendi, karibu kwa show. Umesikia concerns za Obina. You are a lawyer now. Unaongea kama wakili ambaye tuelezee kisheria. Hii kitu inajieleza vizuri.
Thank you.
The issue of suicide. Let's start from the issue of suicide.
Good afternoon, everybody, and it is a pleasure to meet all of you. I don't know if I'm audible.
Ongeza kidogo.
Tena.
Ongeza kidogo.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
I trust I'm audible. Let me begin by the point that you raised on suicide. Now, I think Mheshimiwa was not given a chance to elaborate further, because the departmental committee in the matrix notes noted suicide is not insult. If I call you, I don't know which word we can use on air that is not
ngombe. Sema tu ngombe.
Oh, ngombe.
Yeah.
The law does not prevent any one of you from being insulted. Let's start there. So whatever you have seen on social media is pure fabrication. That is not the law. The law does not prevent, the law does not say if, what's his name, MC Jesse,
yes,
is offended,
yes,
then I can go to court and have him arrested. That is not the law. And let me explain further.
Okay.
If you look at the Religious Affairs Organization bill that is currently under public participation right now, in the matrix of the policy, there is a multi-agency team that is supposed to surveil all social media in Kenya to prevent the same things he's talking about for a particular purpose. Because law is connected to purpose.
Okay.
And I don't mean to sound like a lawyer, I just wanted all of us to understand. It is important, like I've said before online on air, let us be fair. Even if you want to hate someone who has done what to you, whether it's a president or any other person, at least be fair. What did he want to do? Suicide is not insult, it is the deliberate, intentional, repeated acts of harassment that make someone feel, I need to end my life. I need to act contrary to my interest. That is what the law meant. If you have seen anybody who has gone to court, they did not touch that line. All the petitions that went to court, they were dealing with, he did not go to the Senate, Section 6JA, you know? No one talks about that one because we all know his intention was noble.
Okay.
So everything else you have seen online, and that's why I insisted. You know, misinformation is spreading information innocently that you do not have accurate facts on. But what we have seen is disinformation proper. You are spreading information with a deliberate intent to mislead the public about contents that are false. And that is a challenge I'm having with anybody addressing this bill. Because my law professor said this, and it was not condescending to non-lawyers, and I hope you don't take it as an offense.
Okay.
Now that we all agree we have free speech, he said to us, law is not English. If you take this piece of paper and read it the way you'd read a storybook, you will not get it.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
And that is to mean the same way someone would have a technical expertise in another. I would have a technical expertise in explaining that this is not what the lawmaker meant with some degree of legitimacy. So that when I give you an opinion, it is a qualified opinion that gives you the true position. If he meant something nefarious or dangerous to you, I would tell you. So in regard to what my brother Obina said,
Yeah.
I've met him before, it's just that he can't remember me. We have a mutual friend called Terry Mungai. If there is something on social media that is not what the MP said, and I want to encourage all of us here, why do we always wait and go to court? Yet, in the parliamentary fact sheet, you can actually draft a bill by yourself. You can actually do that. You can actually agree, all of us here.
Right.
We come out of here with a memorandum and say, can we draft this bill? Can we present it? Or give him the amendments that you want. We put it in parliamentary language and draft. But this culture where everything has to end up in court, you know, court in and of itself is an oversight institution. It is a check on the other system. While the executive state, they remain as a check. That's why you don't see anywhere else in our constitutional architecture. They remain, when Parliament passes law, they tell you, is this constitutional, is this unconstitutional? Because they are part of the nation. The BBI case that we were doing, that was the purpose. Thing that I had in terms of similarly, if you look at the wording that our good MP wrote, it is sites that are promoting. And yes, do you want to tell me, is that what we are saying? Are we saying that someone who has innocently landed on a page, for instance, the sites that we watch free movies on, Gujara, hdtv.com, they have pornographic content?
Okay.
Are you promoting pornography? Definitely not. So that same multi-agency that checks, that is why the wording was if proved. Their work is not just to sit and target people recklessly, because there is always a check and balance on the state. Whether it has worked well or not is a debatable point. Tendency to anticipate the worst meant to protect you, it actually becomes something that it mirrors what he's saying.
There's a question, Wakili, that Obina brought up here.
Yes.
Question yaka.
For 5 years.
Okay.
We say this: religion, religious liberty, is the freedom to worship God according to the dictates of your miracle. And the miracle does not work, I should hold him liable.
Oh, you're the cult.
No, I've not said it. You see, I want you to understand me step by step. I was giving you an example.
All right.
That religious, it is the freedom to worship God according to the dictates of your conscience. So that if I leave the realm of conscience and I now come to harm my member of parliament, bodily harm, if I harm him psychologically, even if it is in the name of Jesus, I ought to pay. That now becomes religious extremism. Cultic cultures have this ability where they have assumed that they have taken something we call an ex-cathedra position, that they are in the place of God.
All right.
You know, I can bear no wrong. I am God. If I tell you to kill yourself, that tomorrow you can have all the riches you've ever wanted, and I give you proper, convincing language that you act against your self-interest, then I have left the realm of worshiping God according to the dictates of your conscience, yeah?
Okay.
And I have become a criminal.
So whatever practice you're doing, it means that it must hurt someone physically.
It is not physical. The injury that we know, and by and large, and that is why we say the law has made some progress, the injuries that we know are bodily injuries. I can stab you, I can harass you, the ones I can see with my own eyes.
All right.
But there are injuries that exist beyond the body. They go straight to the mind. For instance, everyone here who has used social media knows I can engineer people to hate someone. If you are an honest user of social media, you know I can engineer you to convince of someone. And we don't even need to go far. Just check our elections. In 2013, someone was hired to engineer us to vote a particular way. It was all over the news.
All right.
So that is not something we can disagree on. So it means there is someone who has an ability to turn your mind this or the other way. And if those people exist, yes, what is the ability of the government to protect the citizens who have decided we will not act on our behalf? We will give you that permission for you to do it for us. So I want to request all of you that we understand that there are people who have hidden themselves in this particular cyberspace that you cannot see with our own eyes. And those particular people are more powerful than governments. If you are more powerful than government, for instance, Facebook, Microsoft, Google have budgets bigger than the entire Africa combined. How do you hold them to account? Now there are those people who are worse because we can see those companies actually do a very good job. But there are those people who have become so nefarious. For instance, there are sites whom 5 minutes later it's active. You don't even know where they are housed. Government called Kenya that can go and hunt those people. It will deplete your sovereign wealth.
Let me introduce YY, comedian.
I wanted to answer. There was a very good question about public participation.
Yes, Mheshimiwa.
And the crowd was very elated about it.
Yes.
Oh, let me talk about that.
All right.
Okay. This bill, the Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Amendment Bill, was introduced in Parliament in 2024. Actually, in August of 2024.
Okay.
Parliament has a process of passing bills. The bill was read the first time in Parliament on 24th November 2024. And then it was taken the Departmental Committee on Communication, Information and Innovation.
Okay.
We are lucky that the chair of that committee, Mheshimiwa Kiarie, is here. The bill went to that committee. The committee had several sittings. Actually, under Article 118 of the Constitution, that is the article in our Constitution that mandates public participation, the committee placed notices in all the major newspapers in this country, inviting the public to give their input into that bill. They placed the advertisement in the print media on 18th February 2025. You can check. Anybody who is online right now can check.
Okay.
And they got few responses. They got responses from the Ministry of Industrialization, Communication and Digital Economy. They came and presented their piece. The Kenya ICT Action Network came and presented their piece. The Kenya Alliance of Residents Associations came and presented their piece. And a few individuals also came to present their piece. The problem with Kenyans, me included, is that we always try to react after something has been done. But when given an opportunity to come and give your opinion, we are missing. I'm actually surprised that a member of the press will ask, where was public participation? Public participation happened. And the other thing is that in Parliament, all our bills are published and they're in the website. We have a gadget called the Bill Tracker. Right now, the one he has talked about, if you go online on the National Assembly website, you will see a Bill Tracker. It was read the first time. These were the comments. It was debated, first reading, second reading, committee stage, all that. So I encourage the public, please don't use social media to give you misinformation. Go out and find information. It is actually the law dictates. This law will have been found unconstitutional. If you look at section 6, you will see that will be corrected, gives the High Court the original jurisdiction on everything. That a Kenyan or a group of Kenyans went to court in Nairobi and got some orders and got further orders.
And even
so you don't need anybody to tell you in an act of parliament that you have the. You don't need a statutory, the statute to tell you to go to court.
All right, introduce YY because amenyamaza sana hapa. YY karibu.
Asante. Okay, first of all,
about this new law, yes.
Intentions.
Yes.
It's an amazing bill with good intentions. Because a lot of Kenyans do not even have an issue with what is written here. Is what are
all right.
okay. Therefore, it means that with good intentions, Kenyans do not have a problem with it totally. We prove their intentions.
Okay.
Maybe this is what I think, first of all. If Kenyans have an issue that they would want to keep the government in, and they feel like this in some way is going to make us lack the freedom to call out the government in case they're doing this or that. Why can't we therefore be clear on a different article and say, but you can criticize the government?
So there's no clarity on that.
But maybe it's there, but can we use simple languages?
Okay.
When it comes to such.
All right.
Now, when it comes to by use of computer, if your actions might cause somebody to commit suicide, I think people have different emotional intelligence. Okay.
Okay.
You could just do a normal thing to a weak individual. So how therefore do you prove that it's your action that caused them to commit suicide when they are weak persons?
Okay.
Okay? Because we have different personalities. How you react to a situation is not how Obina reacts to a situation. You can nyamazia, Obina will be in the car. Say, what's up everybody, Obina at the building.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So people react different.
All right.
And the issue of abuse and maybe the law use a different language, but if you expand it, maybe sumatusi na nini, trolling,
okay,
the things we do on Twitter, okay? How do we take it from being a moral issue to a law?
All right.
Yes.
How do we take it from the moral issue to a law? Namwona MP ameingia, Dagoretti MP. Makofi kwake jamani, Mheshimiwa John Kiarie. And I think Mheshimiwa John Kiarie anataka kuchangia hapa. So I want Vicky uko wapi jamani? Vicky uko wapi, mpelekee microphone Mheshimiwa John Kiarie, Dagoretti MP pale. If you can help us with the microphone kidogo, changie from there. Waf. So that we can be able to.
But let me try for the
Okay, Mheshimiwa.
There is nothing called good intentions or bad intentions.
the bill.
Yeah.
Sasa wewe ndio unaweza kutuambia ulikuwa na intentions mzuri ama ulikuwa na intentions mbaya kwa Wakenya?
What Kenyans should be worried about is what does the law say? It is not my intention. I may be a very bad person. I may be a very good person. But what does the law say? One thing is that the laws that we pass in Parliament cannot contradict the Constitution. That is number one. The Constitution has already given freedoms to Kenyans. But where your freedom ends, mine begin. For example, just a few days ago, you have seen the caricature of Raila Odinga. If that is not harassment, change. You can say, you can criticize government, but there are lines you cannot cross. But you cannot harass.
Good afternoon, all. I think this is a great platform to have a discussion. Let's appreciate them with a round of applause first.
Asante.
Allow me to misinform us. We are talking about misinformation. Wakili, you've done a great job informing the country. And Mheshimiwa, congratulations under your name. Let me start by saying that the panel could have done justice to our audience to first explain what we are discussing here. Because when I list of legislation that was assented to the President a week and a half ago, this piece of legislation, amendment bill, it comes to make amendments to a bill that has existed. In 2018, I was part of the people who coined the Kenya Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Law. So the law has already been in operation. When we passed it in 2018, there were activists suspended. The court canvassed the issue of the suspended clauses. And clauses are constitutional. And so those clauses are law. Recently, the Honorable Adan Dawood Mohammed, in his own motion, doing what the people of his constituency sent him to do in Parliament, saw some gaps in the law of 2018. And he brought amendments to my committee. These amendments were seeking to do a number of things.
Okay.
Let me mention what they were doing. The amendments were seeking to protect our country, child pornography. 2, child trafficking. 3, can we make a law in Kenya that stops anyone from perpetuating child pornography? Is there anything wrong with stopping child pornography? Ama iko kuna shida hapo? Kuna shida ya realize watu wakitumia simu ili kuwapeleka Shakahola. What we are discussing. The second thing I want to mention is what Wakili said on submissions when he was on NTV in the morning one day. He said to us, if you want legal information, the last place to get legal information is social media. If you go to social media, you will get opinions, you will get misinformation, you will get entertainment, but you cannot get legal information from social media. Why would Wakili say that? I want to finish by giving you these facts. Fact number, today, Kenya is leading on the use of OpenAI and the GPT. We are leading in the world on the use of ChatGPT, meaning that on social media, opinion. You think that MC Jesse has typed that opinion, but all he did, he went, prompted OpenAI as good as the prompt that he put in. Young man, there was the first law, and the first law in computing is GIGO. garbage in, garbage out. If I exactly as I had prompted. Fact number 2, Mwakideo.
Ma'am.
Misinformation on social media globally today are averaging at 58%. Meaning that out of 10 posts that you will see on misinformation on social media are at 58%. Do you know what the average is in Kenya? In Kenya are averaging at 83%. 83% concerns on misinformation on social media. Meaning that if there are 10 posts on social media in Kenya, if the percentage is 83%, the concerns on how many posts. And Wakili says that the place to get information on facts is not social media, he's right. But allow me, Mwakideo, to say the need for putting out information. Wananchi is a victim of misinformation that is not countered by government. You might look at Mheshimiwa here and think who was elected by his people to represent them in parliament, when he could direct what question to. So it is upon us, even as parliament, to make sure that even as there is misinformation being propagated out there, that parliament is also churning out information, because the information circles do not entertain a vacuum. If government is not informing, then the influencer will misinform, not knowing where the information is. I'll leave it there. I'll just allow me to mention.
Kabla hujamaliza Mheshimiwa, earlier on, that you see issues like child pornography. Wakenya wengi wanaelewa terrorism, Al-Shabaab, you know, bombing and stuff like that. You see, now we are talking. Are you understanding? Cultic behaviors tulikuwa tunauliza hapa. This is Shakahola which every Kenyan hears. Ilikuwa ni mbaya, Wakenya wengi walipoteza maisha yao. But you see, at what point would you say then hii ni cult na hapa haijafika kwa kiwango cha cult, hapa bado ni
must start by defining what discussion we are having today. We are talking about this amendment bill by Wakili Adan.
Yes.
Read as read with.
Okay.
So if you're let me use a simple example. If you're using to steal ni wizi, si ndio?
Ndio.
Na umetumia kifaa ama mtandao.
Okay.
So if it is a crime, for example, that I used the example of stealing, for example, it will not only just be read on its own. It will be, ukienda mahakamani, wataangalia read with. So I was wanting us to understand that the Amendment Act that we are discussing today is only a small part of an existing law that also sits as part of laws of Kenya. And the hierarchy of laws, Wakili can tell you that we have government that are legislated in parliament, and then, for example, in this law, has a subsidiary law called regulation. And even NC4 itself cannot make regulations and pass them without mwananchi kuhusishwa, without public participation, and ultimately, hata akitengeneza hizo regulation, lazima zitarudi bungeni to the Committee of Delegated Legislation. Alafu, hakuna sheria ambayo itanifanya mimi nichome nchi ati kwa sababu imepita bunge. Hata waiwai anasema, even if they had the worst intention, a democracy's architecture ni kwamba hiyo sheria, tuseme, which is very unlikely, tuseme ati wajumbe wakapitisha sheria mbaya. Our democracy that ensure that if a law was passed in parliament and it was unconstitutional, it is not the end of the world. Any Kenyan can go to court and challenge it, and itapigwa msasa, and it will be checked according to its merit to the laws of Kenya and the constitution of Kenya. Okay. So we cannot be making that every law ikipita is a crisis in Kenya. This man is employed by the people in his constituency to make laws.
Okay.
But he does not make a law in a place where he has no checks. The river has its river banks that ensures these are the parameters within which to pass a law. Alex Mokideu, in my committee of communication, information, and innovation, I have a gentleman here who has been doing a great job informing Kenyans on what is in this law. His name is Kofi tafadhali. Honorable Kitur, Modio Mwakideu, tulifanya hii kazi pamoja. Lakini Obina akawa mzuri zaidi kwa hiyo kazi, yes. Wewe ukazidisha zaidi, okay. Sasa mimi nikatoroka hiyo kazi. Yes.
Before to continue, kidogo, can we agree that the government is not doing a very good job in communicating to the people? That is why you find that the information that we have and also the mistrust that the citizens have with the government is because of lack of information from the government side. For example, when this bill was passed and it was signed into law, a lot of Kenyans are asking, why the rush? That day we lost someone very important to the whole world. Then the president was saying, well, like, why couldn't he wait? Why the emergency? Secondly, people are asking, is it the responsibility of the citizens to follow the government and ask them, hey, what are you doing, Ama? Guys, we are doing ABCD. We have a few people we have elected, the members of parliament, to represent us and to good job. So most of the time you find the other people who are now oversighting the government are now in bloggers, most of us who don't have expertise in certain areas. That is now where you find out there's this miscommunication. Today we were here to discuss from
Dan.
Yeah, I told him, hey, you metupatia handball, because this handball that we have here is not the whole thing. You see, for example, we are talking about the NCC answering to NSAC, then NSAC answering to the president. We're like, where's the judiciary? But now we've come here, now that is not here. This is just about misuse of this, child pornography, and now the extremisms. So it's just been narrowed into something very small.
That's why Obina started by defining what we are doing here.
So we haven't figured
We were talking about the amendment by Adan.
Okay.
When you the issues of NC4, they're within the amendment that he has done. And what you have said is not exactly true. That Adan cannot make NC4 act extrajudicially. They cannot make NC4 become the police, the courts, and even the jailer. If you read part 6, which has to do with what you're talking about, actually, let me read. I'll read part 6, which is section 6. So, Honorable Adan proposed, it was canvassed, public participation happened, and it was debated in parliament, and it was agreed that section 6 of the Principal Act is amended in subsection 1 by inserting the following new paragraph immediately after paragraph J. Where it is proved that a website or application promotes unlawful, meaning that there are other laws that dictate what is lawful and what is unlawful. Where it is proved that a website application promotes unlawful activities, inappropriate sexual content of a minor, terrorism, or religious extremism and culticism, issue a directive. It is not NC4. Issue a directive to render the website or application inaccessible. Now, section 27, I want to say where we are citing the courts.
NC4 that is issuing the directive.
Yes, a directive.
All right.
Because it is, NC4 is a committee. This committee has the Attorney General there. It has the military. It has interior. It has public tech representatives in NC4. So basically, it is a committee of public and government experts who would be the superintendents over the space to allow the enacting and the implementation of the law. NC4 is not a new entity. It has always been there. Yes.
Where it is proved.
Where it is proved. So proved, yes.
So where it is proved.
Yes. So there is a court process.
All right.
Hey, goja kidogo, goja MC. Let me complete with my... Yes.
All right. Mheshimiwa, you see,
It was to Obina's question though, I wanted to answer in the affirmative, Obina. And hiyo ya Obina, tafadhali mungempigia makofi huyu Obina. He is holding brief for you. It is correct, Obina, that government is playing catch up in the information race. And this is because always technology will run ahead of legislation. Technology runs ahead of governments. And I started by faulting the government channels on communication because government can do better. There is no individual seated here who wakes up to go and look for lies. I said that in the absence of the right information, with a vacuum, it will be filled by lies. When we were growing up, there was no social media. Social media was gossip. And there was a joke that used to be made about the Moi administration. They would say, ati Moi alikuwa anasema, ati ikifika saa 4 na haujasikia ka propaganda kanatembea town, wewe anzisha propaganda yako. So it means anytime you will find that if there is a lack of information, misinformation will step in. So finally it is to let us know that we are living in the age of misinformation, malinformation, disinformation. We are going into fake news, deep fakes. So you will see Mwakideu created by AI in his voice speaking, and what you need to do, the part of the question that Obina was asking, what should Raya do? We are fighting for our freedoms. One wise man said that the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. On our part, our job is to be vigilant. That if I see a screenshot, I should ask myself, who created this screenshot? With which intent? So that I can react how? Background check, contextualizing, and that's how we protect our freedoms, by being vigilant as wananchi. I was introducing a member of my committee.
Before I'm na Mwakideu nikubalishe.
Na natumia bili yako waambie
hata mimi sikuwa
please. Kwa hii story ya KJ.
Yes.
Pole imeniwasha sana.
Okay.
Imeniwasha. Huyu ni mbunge. Jalas ni mbunge. Huyu Mgale hapa naye ni mbunge, si ndio? Obina has just raised a very pertinent issue. Misinformation. Umeiguzia na ukaiongelea kama MC, not kama MP. Ukasema there is a need.
Yes.
But these are our lawmakers. Huyu ni lawmaker ashafanya yake. In fact, excuse, amefanya yake ndio tuna discuss leo. Hawa ni wetu tumewatuma kutoka Nairobi. You know very well there's misinformation, KJ. Jalas, you know there is misinformation. Bill YY amesema si mbaya, lakini hatujui vile imeletwa. We have creatives here. Sisi tuko. This is the new age of communication.
Okay.
If you don't use us, if you don't use Dadimato, kama mtatutumia, we'll be back here again discussing this. And we should not give this as a suggestion, Wakideu. Okay. Ati we should. No, we are not going to shoot again. What we need is done now. For example, why are we having this thing? Because a creative called Mwakideu thought about it, akatupigia, tukasema tukakuja. Sa ile sisi tuliconfirm tukakuja, ndio wakili wako confirm. Unaona? Kama angetupata sisi angeita hawa. Alafu Alafu Mwesha akaamua, wewe mna discuss kitu yenye sisi, mimi siko, wacha nikuje. Una understand? So the creative sisi, tuko na a very big Obina every Monday akika hapo anaweza chambua hii bill na ikue. Anaweza ichambua mpaka ikue mbaya ama ichambue ikue poa. Waiwai ataweka comedy show. Aichambue na aichekele mtaka kama wajinga. Lakini you are the members of parliament who want to send you now to the person who has sended this bill into law. That is His Excellency, the President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto. Please, you guys talk to him daily. Hii forum, munaone kikaaje, ni mzuri si mzuri? Why can't you go and tell him tumekataa afanye hivi kwa tutembeze country mzima? Exactly. Wacha tuende as creatives. Let's go to Mombasa. Tutaongea, mimi nitajitolea Mwakideu.
Okay.
Ina anajulikana ataenda, wai ataenda, mimi nitaenda. Tuende Mombasa, tuende Kisumu, tuende. Then after that tuwapatie nini tunasema. Because you have said you advertised it. On the umeka kwa gazeti, haujapigia.
Wameka kwa gazeti and the bill is about internet.
Yeah. What the hell? Tuongee mambo ya computer. Kanayo. Wacha mambo ya gazeti iko online, hapana. Tunasema hivi, really you are discussing us na hata hatuna ministry. Hatuna creatives, hatuna ministry. Youth sports, creative economy, sisi tumehang hata hatuna secretary, hatuna board, hatuna council, hatuna fund. Really logic. No. Sisi wote tuko online.
Okay.
Munajua hiyo online yetu tunahitaji mahali sisi Am I not communicating to you guys?
All right.
Why are you not using me to communicate? Enda uambie Mheshimiwa Rais, tunawatuma wabunge wangapi? 4.
Okay.
Amwezi shindwa. Jalas, KJ, Waraba hali yake umuongeleshe Kisomali na wewe uongee Kikale. Na wewe Jalas tuambie sasa. Tuende Kenya mzima tusiende? Tuchague chairman wao wabunge mwenye atapeleka hii kitu. Kwa sababu leo hatutapata solution. Huyu akuwe chairman. Aambie rais atufanye tutembee Kenya mzima. Haya shika.
Unajua
thank you so much Jesse. Unajua kuna wakati hata inanishindaga kuongea kama mbunge nikiwa nao watu hapa. But the truth is, even me as a first-time member of parliament, I get to learn a lot of things every single day. And I used to sit on this side, and everything that I used to do was to criticize even before I read it. As we speak, this bill is a bill of 2018, meaning ni kitu imekuwa. What has been done by Mheshimiwa from Wajir is amendment, yenye ameongezea pale. But ungeona pale mtandaoni vitu watu walikuwa wameshaandika, ilikuwa ni gava saizi itakuwa inaingia kwa simu yako, itakuwa inajua una 20 million utakuwa unapigwa fine. Ukimwacha sijui fare ukitumiwa fare ukose kuenda. Kulikuwa forums must go on again and again so that we are able to tell people, and that is the MP here for Wajir, and also KJ, and also huyu ndugu yake, that we continue having forums like this again and again so that we can demystify some of these issues that we're having. Thank you so much. Mheshimiwa Kituru, is the chair.
Okay. Wananchi, this is a good forum for engagement. And I think the idea that MC Jesse has is a great idea, that if there is misinformation on this bill, creatives are a great avenue to take the information to the country. Pigiani Jesse makofi. The only point is that even as we are making good suggestions, we should not misinform. There is a place for the artists in communication. For example, what you're suggesting. The thing about platforms where these notices are put on the platforms as is stipulated by law, so that it is measurable. If you put it online, the measurability of it is near impossible. Think about it this way, Obina. The platforms that we are using to stream this event live,
Yes.
chances are none of those platforms is built by Kenyans. Those platforms are not our own. I will not name them by name. If you're streaming live, you know where you're streaming live on. Chances are that that company sits in Silicon Valley. Probably it does not even have an address in Kenya. So that the law looks at how are we able to prove that you announced what you announced. If you announced it on a platform you do not know, kesho izimwe, mutaprove aje you have announced. So the law, as it sits today, provides that before you pass a law, there should be public participation. To call people for the public participation, the law stipulates where it should be advertised. And that's what Parliament did. The idea that Jesse gives is a great idea. Let me add on top of that. This government today is building 100,000 kilometers of new fiber. Is going to build a digital innovation hub in every ward, 1,450 digital innovation hubs. Is going to put 25,000 Wi-Fi hotspots. It has already started. What? I know.
All right. All right. Order, ladies and gentlemen.
Remember, guys.
All right.
Remember.
Okay. Order, kidogo.
Remember you are many and I am alone. If we are to have a decent conversation, lazima tusikizane. Nikasema hivi, for the fiber, you can go and check where we are at, because it is an installation that is already happening. You might have an opinion that it is happening. The fact that you do not know it is happening does not. So it is, you should have been asking me, where do I get information? Now, that was not the point. We should be asking ourselves as Kenyans, how can we, well versed in media issues, ukienda pale Juja, you'll find young people who have graduated with degrees in software engineering. So what is stopping us as a country from developing our own WhatsApp, our own TikTok, our own Twitter, so that as government is providing connectivity, I myself should be thinking, pale Konza City, because Konza City is a reality. Whether you have seen it or not, it is existing. I, as a developer, how will I get a place in Konza City so that all those ideas I have as an individual, borrowing technology from Silicon Valley. Jalash had something to add.
I just the last thing.
All right.
You've heard about the ICT centers. Right now, each and every constituency, buy a bus, you cannot do anything unless you build an ICT center as a member of parliament. Even for those of you who are members of Langata constituency, you've seen our ICT center that we've built. True or false? Yes, that's. Come and say numbers here and say we are building 295 centers. It might sound too much, but those are the number of constituency hub. We have 1,100 and we are building those number of ICT hubs. You might think it's a lie, but now it is a law that your proposal under CDF cannot go through unless...
This is my show, guys. Please, hold it together, okay? We want to stick to the agenda and we want to welcome your... All right. Okay, because we want to understand this Amendment Act of 2025. We stick to this agenda. One thing that is clear here, Mheshimiwa Jalal, like Obina said, information. Information ikiwa kwa gazeti, hawa watu hawaioni. You see all the things you're saying here, watu wanashtuka. Information inaiko mahali ambapo hawa watu hawaioni. So maybe we now start. Yeah?
It doesn't mean it's a lie.
It's not a lie, but then it tells you need to improve on how and the platforms that you use to inform Kenyans. Sindio? Mheshimiwa mbunge wa kutoka Nandi Hills. Nandi Hills MP tafadhali, ambaye pia ni member of the committee Communications, Information and Innovation, ambayo chairman ni Mheshimiwa John Kiarie, Dagoret MP. Karibu Mheshimiwa.
Thank you very much, Mwakideo. And Kitur, Member of Parliament for Nandi Hills, constituency in Nandi. On communication, information, and innovation. Thirdly, I am youthful. Fourthly, I am a techpreneur. I am an investor in this space. Therefore, any law in every sphere. I became a member of parliament when this matter appeared before our committee when it was introduced 2024. And the aspects that it touched on, exposed on matters of child pornography. What has that exposed on matters of child pornography? What has that happened? The next market, because the laws are getting tightened on the other side. The crooks who are doing these kinds of business are coming to Africa. And Kenya is way ahead on matters of technology and access of space. Therefore, we had to find a way of tightening. That is why there is the issue of fragile assets to discuss that these days when we want to follow you up, there are those proceeds of crime. Many times, it's not the physical assets we are talking about. We are talking about the virtual accounts, the cryptos, and those kinds of things. So we wanted to venture into that space so that if you want to come and make an investment in this country on that point, we are able to get hold of you. Now, Section 6, where it expands the work of the National Computer and Cyber Crimes Coordination Committee. Listen, friends, and all Kenyans who are here. There is nothing that will be done before a court process is executed. In court, you bring a lawyer like him, all right? There is a law that will be followed, and then finally it is known this website that you are using is actually promoting terrorism. Is actually doing the things of child pornography. What does the National Coordination Committee do? They can block it or bring it down. Yes. That's simple. Oh yeah, that's simple. Are we together on that space? Mm-hmm. Now, when it comes to the one Section 27, offense of cyber harassment, if you look at what the law says, the initial one, and this is true, by the way, and these are two examples. Just recently, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, of mine, and he was telling me they were from a neighbor's home where a young man who was in an institution here in Nairobi, a well-known institution here in Nairobi, a young man who was done university, I think 3rd year, himself in the sitting room. So they wanted to find out what could have happened to this young man. Was it an issue? Do this until your chief, your target, when you hang yourself. Can you imagine a 3rd year, somebody so mature, but he was a very soft young man. So some of these things that out there amongst young people, because many young people don't speak out of many things they go through, and they believe that if such kind of websites that takes you until you kill yourself, you hang yourself, those kinds of wrong, and you have to go through. There is, of course, Section 46A to provide that the court can issue. Please, finally, then, so that I go sit down and still hear the contribution of the people, is the concern about in cases there are orders that were issued. If you look at this order that was issued at Milimani Courts, that is suspending Section 27, 1B, C, and 2. Actually, there is misinformation and disinformation in courts. Because what was being suspended, yes, one of them, a slight clause, is here, is in this amendment. But the other one was in the 2018 main law. So the judge was misinformed. That he suspended something that was not part of the conversation. In fact, it should have been the Court of Appeal, because these laws had already gone through court process and it was upheld. Do you understand? So there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation. Finally, I agree with all of you that yes, we need to go around the country and we need to improve, as Obina said, true. We need to improve the communication from our side as government.
Okay.
And there's something also Obina did mention, so I could sit down. You mentioned that why was this law signed on the 15th of October, that dark Wednesday, isn't it? Now, what had happened is, it was the 14th day. You can actually hold of it. It was the 14th day where after 14 days, the law must be signed. If it is not signed, it becomes a law automatically. The president then would have abdicated his duty. Realized it was very early in the morning, and the president had even called Akina Daud and all the others who had given the 8 bills, actually. There were 8 bills, right? The others are very good bills. So those 8 bills were to be signed that early morning at around 7:30. That was the agreement. In fact, it late kidogo, maybe around 7:45. When what did the president do? Just put a signature. Simple as that. Tumelewana.
Right now, nataka tuchukue maoni kidogo from a few people who are here. Kutoka kwako, wakili Were, I know he's here with us. Najua pia ungependa kusema naye. Wafula, please, kama unaweza kumpatia wakili pale. One word from him, very fast, before we wind up today.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Habari zenu? Mko salama?
Salama.
Unajua, I've listened to politicians talk so much, but they are not touching the main point. Going about corners, nini, there is no problems with that, with whatever you're saying. Sawa. But there is one problem. Why are you not addressing Section 27 of the Act that is in contention? I've done the amendment that is in contention. Okay. Because this is what allow me to read. To cause a person to commit suicide. In common sense, that will maybe psychological effects, which is correct up to that point. But then the question we are having is, why should we have ambiguity in the law? Why should it be so ambiguous and so verbose, not being specific? It's not ambiguous to me, because in the law, if you're going to, maybe something is a problem, they'll say that if you commit action A, it's an offense. For instance, Mheshimiwa, you've said something here, and I've noted very well. You've said Raila Odinga Jr. was being trolled, okay? Yes. And that is harassment, right? Because of his disability. Why not amend the law and say that if you post material or something that touches on disability of someone, okay, and that action causes someone to have, like, most likely to commit suicide. You know, you're being specific. What I know, the intention of this law is this. During the Gen Z uprising, we all saw what happened, okay? People walikuwa wanasalimia watu kwa mitandao, si ndio? Wasipokusalimia kwa mtandao na kusalimia wapi? Kwa inbox. So sasa hizi utaenda utengeneze silhouette ya mwanasiasa utupe kwa mtandao. Ukishatupa, what happens? Unapigwa pingu, unawekwa ndani. But the issue is this. If let me give my opinion. Let me give my opinion.
All right.
Let me give my opinion.
Maliza wakili.
If ngoja usikie. Ngoja usikie. If you are being honest with this law, the first question we have to ask when you are making a law, what is the intention of the lawmaker? What is the intention? Because if you do not get the intention of the lawmaker, there is some malice in that law. So that, let me say.
Okay.
Let me say,
Okay.
you will have a right of reply. You will have a right of reply. No, you will have a right of reply. You will have a right of reply, okay?
Wacha maliza wakili.
You know, No, let me tell you, everyone will have a right of reply. Sindio? Nikimaliza utakuja useme, you do not agree with me because of this and this. When you gave your opinion, I sat down and I listened. Ama? Yes. So we have to ask. The law cannot discipline everyone. In fact, the law is a very small part of society. Society inalingana na watu wenyewe. And the question I asked about the intention, Mheshimiwa have talked about protection of the child. We have the Children's Act. Why do you, no, I'm asking questions. I'm asking questions that are thought-provoking. They may look stupid, but they're thought-provoking. You must sit down and ask yourself. Now, there are these questions I want to ask here. We have statutes that guide different laws. Sindo, we have the Children's Act, we have the Terrorism Act, we have the Societies Act that govern churches and societies, and I don't know how the specific. If you are saying you are using this cyber, why not say as read together with section this and this of this act? It is because you are, listen, you are, and that is something you've sneaked in.
Asante sana. Makofi kwake wakili wewe jamani. Najua, Mheshimiwa, 1 minute. I'm giving this opportunity.
As young people, I want to encourage all of you, please have a tolerance. Never assume you cannot learn about something about him. Pardon? In the medium of comments, how many people have ever commented something of parliament? How many people have ever commented something of parliament? Wakili. So what I'm suggesting now, if we say we are going round the whole country, most of the people who are going, and we will amend what we want. All right. The people who are going, and we will amend what we want. All right. Including his own amendments. Wakili Mugendi, there is an issue here that Wakili Were raised. His own amendments. Wakili Mugendi, there is an issue here that Wakili Were raised. Yes. Now, he properly put it. You know, child pornography, and I'm really disappointed that we are watching pornography right now. I'm really disappointed that we are watching pornography right now. Are you promoting pornography? That is not the object of the Children's Act. Promoting pornography? That is not the object of the Children's Act. The memorandum of the Children's Act are based on Article 50.
Let me just answer the last question, is that why is it not in the Children's Act of Education? Honestly. Because I am a lawyer, and those regulations are what people will be using for day to day. So, and it's not being right. We did not come to this forum so that people can cheer us. We came to this forum.
Makofi pia kwa wakili Mugendi. Makofi pia kwa wakili Mugendi. Daddy Mato in the building. Daddy Mato in the building. Now wakili Were
later too. Talking about, there is something that KJ, a lot international apps. These are people. I'm saying that
hii bill kama ajui ama hawezi kusoma Kiingereza anaweza
vitu mingi zina affect to Africa. So I'm the African, nimeweka simu hapa. Sasa huko kwa kijiji, huko kwa Tirimini tukichunga ng'ombe, tumesikia iko kitu serikali imeweka kwa. Sasa mimi nimeweka simu hapa, napiga ng'ombe yangu picha, naona iko mgonjwa. Hiyo ni misinformation. Sasa tunataka kufanya vile Obina anasema, hiyo ni misinformation. Sasa tunataka kufanya vile Obina anasema ambiguous. Hii kitu mbona usiseme ambiguous? Hii kitu mbona usiseme atoka zaini ako nyumbani ni mgonjwa, kwa sababu atoka zaini ako nyumbani ni mgonjwa kwa sababu hakujua kujitetea. Swali yangu ni hii. Ukimtete mtu vizuri kama wewe ni hii. Ukimtete mtu vizuri kama wewe ulikuwa mnaimitate Moi. Yeye mlikuwa mnaimitate Moi.
Makofi kwa Ace. Makofi kwa Ace. Tumeongea wanaume wengi sana bwana. Tumeongea wanaume wengi sana bwana. But another lady? Another lady? Hakuna.
Do it exactly that.
Hakuna.
Do it exactly that. Okay. Okay. Mimi sitaongea mingi sana. Being the first day nimeona na macho yangu. JK Kiare ambaye siku yenye first day nimeona na macho yangu. JK Kiare ambaye siku yenye walisema wale malize. The bill is so good. I want to thank wale malize. The bill is so good. I want to thank you for that being the branch this kind of movement. Iende Kenya mzima kwa sababu this thing touches branch this kind of movement. Iende Kenya mzima kwa sababu this thing touches on chapter 4 of the quality and our lives in the future. So constitutional review, quality and our lives in the future. So constitutional review, constitutional amendments these people are doing that may culminate at this constitution. People are doing that may culminate at this constitution. Right now we are not no longer depending on our. Right now we are not no longer depending on our.
Thank you, makofi kwake. All right. Tumalizie na what's your name? Tumalizie na what's your name?
At what extent will you?
What's your name?
At what extent will you decide? Okay. At what extent will you decide? Okay, let's take this content down. Then last one.
I have just one. Lakini skiza kile kiko kwa hii amendment, sio kile umeona kwa social media. Because fact remains in what is called the fourth industrial revolution. It is going to bring disruptions in every sector. Tech. If you are in finance, it is financial technology. We are squarely in a totally new world. Like every technology, this technology called the fourth industrial revolution, cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, the Internet of Things, all these things is bringing to us very great promise. We will be able to do very great things. But just like any technology, it brings promise, but it also promises peril. So the technology that we have is just like your knife. A knife can cook dinner, but the same knife can stab an individual. So let me leave it at that. I want to thank you all for this forum. It is at times an opinion can be taken to be a fact. But an opinion is the fact. The fact that something is popular does not make it right, and what is right is not necessary.
Social media consumption. So dunia nzima tunaongoza katika social media consumption. Tells you that katika social media consumption Wakenya wengi zaidi wako pale. So I want to agree with everyone who's saying that hizi zikienda kwa social media zitafikia Wakenya wengi hata zaidi. Tumkaribishe MP Kituru jamani.
On the usage of cryptocurrency. Fourth industrial revolution. Kenyans are that aggressive in that fourth industrial revolution. Kenyans are that aggressive in that space. Are we together? Are we together? Secondly, friends, mimi nataka niwaombe. Wakenya wote, tafadhali, don't just look at the empty bit. Also consider the babazuri. You mentioned that, yes, it's important for us to also amend the law to be able to accommodate the changing times and protecting ourselves and also make ourselves be competitive in the world. Ya mwisho, take it as a private members bill. Kama hiyo nyumesema hata hii ya kutumia, this other bill. Kama hiyo nyumesema hata hii ya kutumia, this other space to tuone yale masukaba yale mabaya, space to tuone yale masukaba yale mabaya, semeni hiyo ni mbaya. Lakini ile pia mazuri, sema semeni hiyo ni mbaya. lakini ile pia mazuri sema.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of this live podcast. Mimi nataka kusema hivi kwanza. Of this live podcast, mimi nataka kusema hivi kwanza. Maoni tofauti yanakubalika. Ukweli urongo? Maoni tofauti yanakubalika. Ukweli urongo? Muhimu ni kwamba tunasempia makofi sana kwake. Alafu pia na MP wa makofi sana kwake. Alafu pia na MP wa Nandi Hills member pale kweli. Pale kweli.
Practiced witchcraft.
Okay.
So I came from a very practiced witchcraft.
Okay.
So I came from a very demonic background.
Okay.
That the ordinance was these people. When I was not born again, I was singing secular music.
Yeah.
I used to hear voices.